All right, guys. Hi, how you doing? Right, it's Igor here. So as we talked about, let me try to record this video that is going to be kind of an additional resource that you can use. In a, when I say an additional resource, let me go back to the repos, to the repo that I share with you, and it's called Terraform GitHub Actions Starter Pack. So what I'm going to try to do today, I'm going to try to set it up, this kind of enterprise grade infrastructure as a code that is using Terraform GitHub Action. And we have this kind of a template that I built for you that we're going to use as a baseline. This template actually provides an automated CI/CD for multi-cloud deployments with a built-in security and approval workflows, right? It's really kind of a minimal set of settings in a way, right, that you need to have, and tools, of course, that you need to have if you are playing with production. And 100% is gonna, in a way, mimic whatever other teams are doing, any DevOps teams or whoever is in that space. Definitely, this is kind of a really kind of a baseline that can literally map one-on-one what they are using as well. So your team is going to be equipped with a pretty good setup for sure, right? All right, so I'm not going to go through all the details in this video in a way that you can read about things that that we're going to be using here. I'm going to try strictly to focus to demo, how you can set up your environment, and then obviously do like a quick Terraform plan, just show you how Terraform is going to work, how you're going to create the pull request, the PR request, and what you're going to be able to see, etc., etc., etc. Right? So, but of course, we need to have a couple of prerequisites, right? And then let me see if I can make this a little bit big. No, I think this is a good size. So I'm going to switch between the screens. So I'm actually in the VS Code, and I just open a terminal. If you go to terminal, new terminal, then it's gonna pop up the terminal here, right? And I already created the project directory, so let me do this. Okay, it's clear, right? So if I go pwd, you're gonna see that I'm in g-test, and this is gonna be my project directory, and you need to create one and just be there, right? Couple of things before we start is actually we need to have GitHub installed, right? You can follow the guide, how you're going to install Git on your machine. There is also a lot of videos on YouTube that you can check it out, and also how to install the VS Code on your machine, whether you're using Mac or Windows machine, it really doesn't matter, right? So I already have that, installed on my machine, right? But I'm just going to show you just to make sure that we are kind of aligned and starting from the same page. In addition to Git, I like to use the GitHub CLI as well to get kind of connected to the GitHub account. So if I go GitHub and version there as well, if I type that correctly, of course. Right, let me clear this and do it again so you can see it. And then, of course, GitHub CLI on its own means nothing, right? Unless it's connected to the GitHub, right? So you can see here, if I go GitHub authentication, and then if I go status, you're going to be able to see that I'm actually connected to the GitHub repo with a token. Obviously, when you type GitHub authentication login fresh, then it's going to guide you, to the process of connecting your kind of development environment here to the GitHub repo, or to the GitHub account and all the repos, what privileges that token that you're gonna use for authentication is gonna have, and so on and so forth, right? Okay, cool. And of course, VS Code is here. Now, this repo is not like just an ordinary repo. This is kind of also a template. So there's a couple of ways how you can, get this template and create a repo in your GitHub account. The easiest way, obviously, is that, you're going to see here, and you don't see that with ordinary repos, but you're going to see here a green button that says use this template, and then you can click here and create a new repository from the template. Another way how you can open up that repo locally, you can clone the GitHub repo from the VS Code, and then when you click there, it's gonna clone from the GitHub, and it's gonna list all the repositories that I have there, and I want that I have in my account, and then I can clone any of them. But I'm gonna escape from there, and we're just gonna try to focus on a GitHub CLI as well, because that's kind of like the most common, and I would say my favorite, right? But definitely you can utilize whatever method that you prefer, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, before we go, before we start, I'm gonna just go switch to the repo, right? So basically, you have all the explanations about why we are using modules, why we are having environments, development, production, but you have documentation section here. Let me move this a little bit up. And then you're going to be able to see the setup guide. You have architecture that explain things, right? How everything works. But here you're gonna use this setup, and this setup is going to be used as for the first guy who's gonna kind of, let's say, logically own the project, be a leader. And we have also, of course, you're gonna have a team that is working on your infrastructure projects and so on, right? So you want to collaborate, and the way how you're gonna collaborate, right, and how they can, get connected to the environments, right, to the code environments, right, is actually the guide that is going to set them up for success as well, right? So two different guides. First one to set up the entire environment initially, and the second guide is actually for any other team member that joins the project. Okay, cool. So if I go back here, now when we get that out of the way, I'm going to use GitHub. So GitHub CLI. So if I go GitHub repo, and if I say create, and then if I say, let me see, Terraform, and I'm going to say demo UAG. I'm going to say template, and I'm going to say my account, and then we're going to say Terraform. Yeah, if I have that in my head now, GitHub Actions starter, and then I'm say I want to put that as a private repo, and then I'm gonna say clone. So what's gonna happen? There's a GitHub CLI. I'm gonna clone, use that template to clone the repo, have it locally, right, in my folder that is going to be called Terraform-demo-UAG in this case. And I also expect to have that repo on a GitHub as well. So now if I go ls-la, you're going to see that I have that folder there. And then if I go there, then I'm gonna have entire structure that I see actually inside the repository on a GitHub. So if I go back here, right now, if I go to my account and I go to the repositories, you're gonna see my starter pack. You're not gonna see that in your account, but you're going to see the new one that you created. So you clone my template into the repository, right? So if I click here, this is the same repository that actually the folder that is connected to the GitHub locally, right? Okay, and you can see here on the top here, I don't have any template because this is just an ordinary repository. The one that I shared with you previously, right, was a template repository, right? So you can see here, a template, and you can also clone it from the UI. Okay, so let me go back to the one that we created. Okay, cool. Now the question may be that, I'm inside a folder, how I can open it up in a more kind of friendlier environment, in the environment that is going to be easy to easy to use, easy to consume. And I'm a CLI guy, but I know that a lot of guys are using other editors. One of the editors that you are using is VS Code, right? So what you're gonna do, you're gonna type code when you are inside. When you are inside the folder, right, you can do code and a dot, or you can just open it up here, click on the open, and then navigate to the folder and open it up. I prefer CLI, so whenever I do something, you're gonna see that you're gonna see me, doing these things in the CLI in the terminal. Okay, cool. So now it's a, in the VS Code on the right. So let me see if I can move this. If I can move this thing to my other screen so it doesn't bother you, right? Okay, cool. So now here you're gonna see here that quite easy. If I go click a new terminal, it's gonna open a terminal exactly in the folder where I want to be. So if I go pwd, you're gonna see that I'm in that folder. So let me try to see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you. Okay, fantastic. Okay, cool. And now you can see here all the files and everything that you can, you can manipulate it. You can obviously, check the codes, your main code, like work on the Terraform and whatnot. Okay, cool. All right, so that's the first thing that we did, right? Now, what we need to do when you work with Terraform, right? Remember, you have a Terraform call locally, like you are, like what you see here. You have your variables, you have your main, you have your outputs, whatever your providers, TFR file, whatever you want to use, and how you want to structure your Terraform code, right? And then you're gonna have modules for, like let's say for in this case just an example, but you can add different modules as well. But AWS Azure module, or you want to have some NIOS module, UDDI module, whatever the case may be. And when you are working with Terraform, the Terraform state is the heart of the technology, right? And you can think about that as a database that contains all the kind of resources that's been created, deleted. So it's kind of really something that Terraform is looking at in any given moment in time, and this is how it operates, right? So I'm not going to go into the details of what the Terraform state is, but just keep in mind now, because you are just starting, this is kind of a database of all the resources, and this is how Terraform is tracking what's happening in your infrastructure, right? So if you have that Terraform state file on your local machine and you want someone to someone to collaborate with you, a team member or anyone like that, right? You need to make that Terraform state file available for consumption, right? And what is the better way than to put that Terraform state file somewhere remote, so it's not sitting on your machine? And usually, what people do, they use some cloud services that are easily consumable, right? For example, AWS S3 bucket services, or Azure storage, or whatever the case may be. That's why I have here two flavors for you. If you go to scripts, you're going to be able to see that set up scripts for AWS and Azure, right? And in this case, I'm going to try to demonstrate how you can set it up and set up the backend. Backend is actually the Terraform state file. And then obviously, whenever you have multiple people working on the same code, you want to also to maintain the state locking. And state locking is almost like when I make a changes and work on the code, you can work on the code, but you cannot apply anything until I'm done, right? So whatever, because what we want to avoid is that Igor is doing a change and deploying that in the infrastructure, right? And then you have Ken is doing the same thing at the same time. and maybe changing the same things, right? But just with different values. Now we're not gonna know what's happening, and it's almost similar, like I have a huge networking background. Been in networking business for 17, 18 years, right? So whenever you are in the beginning, right, with Cisco devices and so on, right, when you go to the config mode, right, and then you make a changes, and then you have another administrator, log into the router and try to do the changes, change the BGP configuration. Like what you want to avoid is that if I'm making a changes, I'm going to lock the state, and then I'm going to try to, when I'm done, the next guy is going to be able to apply his own changes, right? So this template that we are using is using S3 for the state storage with DynamoDB for state locking, right? And then in addition to that, right, we don't want just to have that state sitting at rest without encryption. So we're going to use the KMS encryption services, right? Obviously, one of prerequisites that you're going to see in the user guide is that AWS has to be AWS CLI has to be configured, and I'm gonna just quickly. I have a couple of AWS accounts, right? But basically, what we're gonna use here, I'm gonna use the default because I assume you don't have many. We need to confirm, and I think it's called our identity, yes. And you're going to see here that actually I'm authenticated to my AWS account. Right now, you can configure AWS CLI. So if I do configuration list, configure, and then if I do AWS configure list profiles, you're gonna see here. They have kind of a multiple profiles that I'm using. You can also do AWS configure list, and it's gonna list you all the keys that you are using, or actually that your AWS CLI is using to communicate to your AWS account. All right. All right, cool. Now, when you have that AWS CLI enabled, configured, it has connectivity to your AWS account that you want to, maybe in this case, you want to test, or it's a production account. It really doesn't matter, right? Instead of doing anything in a UI or something like that, I created like a script for you that is gonna set you up for kind of success. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna check here that we are in the folder, and if I go inside scripts, right, you can run a setup AWS backend, right? So we're gonna run this script. This script is gonna ask you, of course, before you begin, right? I just wanted to make sure that you don't make just blindly run the script or something like that, right? It's gonna ask you about the region. It's gonna ask you about, this is your AWS account that I got from your AWS CLI. Is this what you want to do? Fantastic. Then there is going to be the S3 bucket, and then the name for the bucket. Then it's going to be a name for the DynamoDB table, and then obviously alias for KMS for encryption keys. I believe I've been using this keys aliases in the past as well, but it's not gonna change anything for you. It's gonna be just a new key, but in my case, it's gonna be not all key, but all the alias. And then you type yes, right? What is important here to, and you're gonna see here everything is getting created, the S3 bucket, the versioning enabled, public access, all good, DynamoDB, and all the good stuff, right? Okay, now what I need to copy here, I need to copy this thing that is going to be a key. I'm just going to put it in a file, and you just need to use that key for a couple of things. You can see here what are the next steps that you need to do, right? I'm gonna see if I can have and also I need to create AWS access keys and secret keys on a GitHub repo, and I'm gonna explain you why we need to use that, right? So now we need in a backend.tf file, right? We need actually, if I go to environments and I go to the AWS dev, right, and I go to the backend, and you can go there to all your environments, production, development. In this case, I'm just going to focus on one, but you are getting the gist, right? So you need to adjust that, right? So I'm going to change this. I'm going to change the key here. I'm going to save, and then I'm going to also go to AWS production, for example, and then I'm going to put the key. I'm going to put the key there, and I'm going to save the file, right? Now I'm going to stop the video here because I want to add these access keys, the secret keys in the region to my repo. So if I go back here, this is your repo that you're going to have, right? And that repo, if you go to settings, right, you can do it in a URI as well, or you can do it from the CLI. So if I go here and quick secrets and go action, right, you're going to be able to, that you can set up a new repository, and then you can add the secrets here, right? Why? And these secrets, obviously, this is the simplest way how you are dealing with, secret variables. Is going to be encrypted at rest at a GitHub, and you can. It's good for the start. Later on, you can use more advanced options, right, with the vault and whatnot. I described that in the user guide, so I'm not gonna actually talk about that now because it's a lot of information. So let's just focus on the minimal thing that you need to do to get you running, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna pause here, and I'm gonna continue when I do this export AWS keys and so on. Okay. All right, I'm back, right? So let me show you. You can set up these keys in UI, like I said, or you can set up these keys from the GitHub CLI tool. So if I go back here, right, you remember this page, right? So if I refresh this now, you're going to be able to see these keys that I'm going to be using. So you can ask me a question, Igor, why these keys are really important. And these keys are important because these keys is going to be used by the GitHub Action runner. That's kind of like a virtual machine that is managed by the GitHub, and that machine is going to come up whenever you need to run a Terraform, right? And you're going to be able, if you go under Actions, right, you're going to be able to see here the workflows that are actually running. And I'm going to demonstrate that in just a second. Okay, cool. So if I go back here, right, the first thing that we need to do, we have a Terraform code locally. We created the S3 backend, the DynamoDB for the remote Terraform state, right? So if I go here, and let me see, where am I? Okay, so if you go to city environments and I go to dev, for example, Azure dev, and then I type Terraform init, something that you are familiar with. We do initialization. You're going to be able to see that successfully configured the backend S3, and Terraform will automatically use this backend unless the backend configuration gets changed. Right now, we have the state file that is kind of like managed remotely, and that a state file can be accessible by all your team members, so you can collaborate on the same code, right? That code is going to be sitting on a GitHub, and then you can do any changes locally, see if that works, and then you can push those code changes to the GitHub, and the GitHub is going to see those changes, is going to actually let you know, inform you, you're going to approve that, and then is going to deploy those changes to your infrastructure. Okay, cool. So Terraform is connected to our remote backend. The state will be stored in S3, encrypted with the KMS keys and locked with the DynamoDB. Right, cool. Now we configured the secret keys, all good. And now we want to test the workflow, right? So, and let me try, I like to use the GitHub CLI tool, but in this case, we're going to try to do this in VS Code just to do that demonstration. Okay, so so let me click here on the source control icon here, and you can see the repository is main, right? So now what we're going to do here, we're going to click here and we're going to create a new branch, right? What we want to do, we don't want to work on the main branch that is actually branch. It's a copy of the remote main. A remote main is, like your remote repo that contains the code, and you just clone that locally and you have a local branch, right? We want to create a new branch, right? And that new branch, we can call it, like demo test in this case, right? What we want to create, we want to create a separate branch that is gonna be for us to play around, make changes, and then when we are good, we're gonna push those changes to our remote main repo, right? So basically, you can see here if I go to the main repo, you can see here I don't have any branches. I have just main and that's it, right? So I can click here and view all branches, right? You can see here no other branches, but they're gonna pop up here if we have any other branch, right? So what we're gonna do here, if I click here and then I go branches and then I create branch from, I'm gonna choose the main, and I'm gonna give the branch name. So I'm gonna call it feature demo test. So you can see here that it's automatically changed here, right? Okay. All right, cool. Now, if I go back to my files, right? Then I'm gonna go and make like a small change. So let's say I go to the dev, AWS dev environment. I am making some changes in my code. Actually, let me show you something. Let me see if this is going to be cool, right? In VS Code, you can also have the agent mode, right? So what I want to do, I want to change this resource owner, right? Like easiest for me is just to change this email, but you can change, whatever you change in a code. You are deploying the VPC, you are deploying security groups, right? Whatever the case may be, right? And this is like a main core, and it's using the modules, right? The modules to deploy AWS, right? So you can see here we have AWS compute. So what I'm doing here, a really simple example of like some code that I'm deploying VPC, route tables, security groups, and whatnot, right? You're gonna also have maybe modules for NIOS or a module for any other resource that you want to create. Instead of making changes here, like maybe I'm going to show you here how you can do it with the agent, right? And you can see here it all reads the main.tf, right? I'm using the cloud Sonnet 4 LLM model. So if I ask the agent, can you change resource owner email to be igor@raw.test? Let's see what's gonna happen. So what I expect to see that the change is done by the agent. I hope I connected that to my CLI. I see here. Yeah, it should be good. So now it's gonna check my code. It's gonna find it. You can see it. You can undo it or you can keep it. I'm going to keep it. And now, you know, email has been changed, right? Configuration has been changed, right? Now, if I go here, right, you're going to be able to see that I have main. It's going to list all the changes. We have the backend where we have the KMS. We don't need to push that, right? We are only caring about the main code, right? And then here you can click this button to the staging, and then you can go here, commit and push. So if I click here, commit and push, right, I can see test. Give it a name. I'm gonna comment this, right? Right, and you can be really descriptive here, and then I'm just gonna click here, commit. Do you want to save changes that you made? Yes, save. The branch feature demo test, where we are making changes, doesn't have a remote branch. The only remote branch that we have is a main. Would you like to publish this branch? Yes. Now, the VS Code is gonna like, would you like to create the pull request for the branch, right? You can create the pull request for the branch. And then you can click here, create. Creating the pull request. The pull request is being created, the test one, right? So now if you go back here, right, and you refresh the page, you're gonna see the pull request that is gonna pop up here. You can see the pull request actually is in the action, right? So what's gonna happen, right? If I go to the action here, you're gonna see that the PR request is gonna initiate the Terraform plan because we made the change, right? So if I click here, I'm gonna be able to see what the runner did, right? So the runner, set up the VM or a Docker image, configure the credentials, it pull credential from the secret, set up the Terraform, get to the Terraform remote state, do the Terraform init, Terraform validate. You can obviously check all the logs and stuff, right? And then around Terraform plan. The output of Terraform plan, the Terraform plan is that this is what we're gonna deploy, Mr. Ken or Mr. Developer. So we're not gonna apply it unless you do the Terraform apply, right? So in this case, we're not gonna apply it, but I'm just gonna show you how everything works. And then in the pull request, right? When you open a pull request, you're gonna be able to see it, right? So you're gonna see here all the kind of explanation, the commits here. So if you go to the commits, right, you're going to be able to see what's been changed in the code, right? And then you're going to be able to go into checks, right? So here, let me see if I can go here, open it up, and then you're going to have a GitHub action that's been run, right? And then you're going to be able to see here, show plan, right? So the show plan, this is almost similar like what you guys did with, let's say, when you do the Terraform plan locally, right? It's going to tell the Terraform is going to perform the following actions, right? And you're going to see here, our code that been changed and blah, blah, blah. So you're going to be able to see all the things necessary there, right? And now what you can do, you can actually comment here and approve this merge, right? What this merge is going to do is going to merge this this branch to the main branch, right? To the main code. So you can almost think about, I have a main code, right? And then I have my main branch sitting, my code sitting in the main branch. Now I can have multiple different branches where let's say I'm adding some features to my main code. I'm building some application. I'm adding some functionalities, and then every developer or group of developers can work on another branch, and then that branch can be a feature 1, 2, 3. for, doesn't really matter. You push that branch, someone review it. You are happy what you see here. You're happy, with what your, for example, your colleague in the team did. You see what's going to be changed, and you can approve it, right? And then obviously, then you can merge that pull request in the main code, and then that code is going to be applied to your infrastructure, right? In this case, I'm just going to say test, and I'm going to close this with a comment. So yeah, nothing is going to happen, right? The pull request is closed, it's gone. If I go back to my main code, right? I told you that, we have now the feature demo test branch, right? You can delete it, you can leave it there, but nothing is merged because you closed the pull request, right? So basically, if you go to actions, right, you're gonna see this is the test that we did. This is like the pull request when we make a change, right? This is like a Terraform AWS dev plan. So all these workflow is going to be initiated whenever you do a plan, apply, destroy. Whenever you make a change, the separate workflow is going to be run. Okay, all of that, right? All of that you're going to be able to run actually from the from Terraform. That is in your VS Code, right? All right, cool. So you see that PR is closed. Now, if I go back here, if I go back to my code here, let me see where I am. Okay, so, and here you can run Terraform, destroy, for example, and then you can auto approve that. If I got it correctly. And it's going to run completely as as imagine that you don't have a remote state or anything like that. Like this is, of course, we haven't deployed anything yet, right? But you can do the Terraform apply or auto approve, and then it's going to generate the PR request that you need to approve there, and then it's going to be pushed to the to your infrastructure. All right, cool. Here I can go back here, and then I can change the branch to go to main. I can delete my branch, so I can go here and I can delete the branch. I can do the GitHub, or actually let me do git branch -d, and then I can select the feature demo. Let me make a space here, and this is how you can delete the feature branch, right? Now, if I go back here and I click on main, right, you can see that I don't have any branches. Of course, I have a remote branch, which is feature demo test, but that's like a remote branch that it's in a GitHub. I can remove it there as well, but I don't have feature demo test branch locally at all. In a real workflow, after team review and approve, you would merge the PR and it would automatically deploy to production after the approval gate, right? All right, cool. So that would be all. So hopefully this I'm not gonna say short video, but let's say this video is gonna help you in addition to the guide that I gave you, right? To set it up. If you run into any kind of a problem, man, just let me know, and then we can definitely jump on the call, like a technical call, and then we can figure it out. But I think using the let's say if I go back here, using the the documentation and everything that you have, I think is going to be more than enough. All right, guys. So thanks a lot for your attention, and hopefully this is going to be helpful. Have a good one.